Hey, what's up, Bucks? It is Tuesday, October 23rd, 12:48 a.m. I'm just going to talk a little bit about kind of the stuff that went down this Monday and a little bit of last week. A lot of digital stuff, some positive and some negative. But we'll start with a couple of the announcements from some of our wireless and mobile carriers. AT&T just announced a deal with Napster where they're going to start doing over-the-air downloads. The price is pretty comparable to that of Vcast. So whether the competition is there or not, it's definitely a positive thing for our rights holders as well. Virgin Mobile is getting into the competition and is going to start streaming music and video content to their handheld devices as well. Kind of cool. The developing mobile scene, a little reminiscent of what's already been going on in Europe. Hopefully we can kind of translate that stuff over here. Also, as far as content providers, Comcast, one of the largest broadband companies in the United States, just announced yesterday, Monday, that it's going to start tracking and interfering with mass uploading, specifically the BitTorrent format. So the idea is to kind of open up the bandwidth for all of the users of broadband, Comcast broadband. A lot of the massive files that are being uploaded to various websites and transferred peer-to-peer are blocking the system. As you may have heard from David Baskin in our convocation last week, just a lot of stuff at one place at one time. The internet wasn't necessarily meant to be constantly running, and Comcast is taking it upon themselves, as the ISPs seem like they should be doing, to take steps to kind of lower that peer-to-peer file sharing rate. Unfortunately, it also kind of steps into the bounds of net neutrality, debate, very controversial topic that's been going on for some time. Should large corporations, government entities regulate who can and who cannot access various parts of the internet? Right now, it's still up for grabs, but Comcast is definitely saying that they're going to interfere with these uploads. As far as other positive aspects that of the digital world that happened this week, Canada announced that it is adding a new tax to the already highly tariffed music industry. As we talked with David Baskin, who is the head of the CMRRA, the Mechanical Rights Organization, who kind of dealt with the tariffs on blank recorded media, cassettes, CDs, and like he said, they're going to start trying to get into digital audio recorders like iPods. SOCAN, the Performance Rights Organization, just passed through a proposal to the Canadian Copyright Board adding a tariff to downloads. So it's retroactive back to 1996, which, if you'll recall, is the second phase of their Copyright Act, that all downloaded content, all download songs, albums, and streaming content, or subscription content, I guess, has an extra tax on top of it. For individual songs, it's going to be 3.1 cents. For albums, it's going to be 1.5 cents. And for the subscription services like Rhapsody and Napster, it's going to be between 5.7 and 6.8 cents. The already highly taxed Canadian music industry, I'm sure, can deal with these small taxes in comparison to what they're already dealing with. And if you consider that, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, the physical format CD was running for, $17, $18, $19 in some places. An extra 1.5 cents per album may not be too bad. It'd be interesting to see if the United States looks at adopting any of that anytime soon. But at this point, the Canadians have. And a little bit more off news. The RIAA is continuing to send out pre-litigation letters to university students across the United States. In their last batch, they sent close to 411 letters to various students in mostly public universities, University of Michigan, University of Nebraska, and this is the sort of stuff where people either, in the past, up until the Jamie Thomas case up in Duluth, this sort of pre-litigation notice has usually ended up with settlement or dropped cases. But since Jamie Thomas up in Duluth, Minnesota, we might see a little more action, maybe these cases going to trial, not sure. But they're not quitting. They're back to their normal, lawsuit sort of attack mode. The pre-litigation mail to the students is supposed to cut back on the infringing done on these campuses, and they sort of focus on college campuses that are specifically downloading a lot of content. But so far there hasn't been a whole lot of shift to not downloading, and the general consensus as far as young people go is they're moving away from the physical format in general, so I'm not sure how much it's helping. And again, in standard RIAA form, they last week issued a suit against Usenet, which is a website devoted to Usenet. It's usenet.com was the lawsuit filed against. And Usenet, if you're not familiar with it, is a form of networking protocol that uses newsgroups. It was formed back in 1979 and put into use in 1980 by some UNC Chapel Hill and Duke University students. This is way back before the internet was functioning really for the general population. And the news groups really act like a bulletin board system where there's posts and threads, only they're posted and threaded on really a decentralized server system. So you post something on Gaussian geometry under the mathematical hierarchy, and that news group gets uploaded to your server and then eventually makes it around to all the other servers so that people can find information out. And it's really a very basic and elementary way for people to gather information and to communicate with each other through the internet. The RIAA submits that it is a protocol that is used to infringe upon many of their copyrights. And due to the Grokster case, the precedent set by that, whether there's a substantial amount of information that is not infringing upon any copyright that's passed through Usenet portals, the RIAA still has leave to sue the company for participating in infringement, which is really sad. This sort of thing, a 30-year-old protocol that's used, to gather information and to keep people connected, and it's under fire by a company that, or not a company, but a lobbyist group that is full of companies that can't, find other means of generating income. My personal opinion, you might think otherwise. So I'm gonna cap this off a little bit with my own personal favorite thing that happened in the last week. Finally, the Amazon.com MP3 store, AmazonMP3.com as it were, opened last Tuesday, and I personally bought my first 2 albums on it. Very cool the way it's all set up. Everything is DRM free, and the albums that I bought were actually cheaper than that of the iTunes store. So you got the benefit of DRM free and cheaper. Also, it's backed by Universal Music Group and EMI, as well as several independent record companies. So you've got a lot of content to choose from. The system is pretty fast and simple, and you've got that Amazon-backed, recommendation system, which is pretty flawless in my opinion. So I suggest you go check it out. At least throw down on one song. They're 86 cents, most of them. So look into it. It's definitely looking like Amazon.com, and while this is still in its beta testing form, can compete with the Apple iTunes monster, as many people say. Anyway, that's all the information I have for this blog for Monday, October 22nd, and I apologize this got out so late, but I'll keep you updated as things go on.